Picture this. Your leadership team makes a decision on Tuesday. Everyone leaves believing the issue is settled. Then on Friday morning, a customer asks for an exception. The person handling the request wasn't in Tuesday's meeting, so they open the meeting notes, read 3 paragraphs about the discussion, and still can't tell what they are allowed to decide. So they message their manager. The manager calls the operator. The operator tries to remember exactly what the founder meant, and before long, the decision is back in the room. That's a useful test of whether a decision actually closed. Can it travel to someone who wasn't there? Can the person understand the call, see the boundary of their authority, and act without reconstructing the meeting? If they can't, the team may have reached agreement, but it didn't leave behind something usable. That's why I think closure needs a written artifact, not a transcript, not 3 pages explaining who raised which concern, and not a detailed meeting recap. Just a short record that preserves the parts of the decision people will need when the original conversation is no longer available to them. At a minimum, I want the record to answer 6 questions. What did we decide? Who owns the decision? What trade-off did we accept? What authority does the owner have? What happens next? And what specific evidence would justify reopening the call? That last question matters more than it may seem. Without a reopening condition, every new concern can sound like a reason to revisit the decision. A customer objects, a team member raises a risk, a founder asks a reasonable question. None of those things automatically mean the decision should change. But if the team never agreed on what would justify reopening it, discomfort can quietly become the reopening rule. Now think about that Friday customer exception again. Suppose the written record says we moved the launch to January. Maya owns the decision. She can resequence the launch work and partner communication within the approved budget. Anything above the budget returns to the leadership team. The decision reopens only if signed demand reaches $500,000 by October 1st or onboarding capacity increases by 2 people. The person handling the customer request may still need judgment. The artifact doesn't eliminate judgment, and it shouldn't, but it tells them where the judgment can operate. They can see what Maya is authorized to decide. They can see what needs to return to leadership. And they can see whether the customer request actually meets the threshold for reopening the launch decision. That's very different from asking someone to interpret the mood of a meeting that they never attended. A useful closure artifact isn't valuable because it proves the original decision was correct. It's valuable because it lets the decision survive contact with the rest of the organization. It protects the trade-off from disappearing. It keeps authority from becoming vague, and it gives reasonable questions somewhere to go without automatically putting the entire decision back on the table. Here's a practical test that you can use after your next important meeting. Give the written decision to someone who wasn't there but will be affected by it. Then ask them 3 things. What changed? What can the owner decide without coming back to us? And what would have to happen before we reconsider the call? If they have to interpret, qualify, or say it depends what they meant, the artifact has shown you where the decision is still open. That's useful information while the people who made the call are still available to close it. Because the real test of closure isn't how settled the room felt on Tuesday, it's whether the decision can still guide the work on Friday. Now, if a decision or a priority came to mind while you were listening, the Hidden Drag diagnostic may help you see what's keeping it open. It looks at the decision, alignment, structural, and human patterns that can keep good work from moving. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes for you to complete, and you'll find the link in the description. Oh, and by the way, it is free. And if you'd rather talk through what you're seeing, connect with me on LinkedIn. I help founder and operator pairs close the hidden drag behind material stuck priorities so the decision can hold when real pressure arrives. If this was useful, subscribe for more practical thinking about decision velocity, hidden drag, and the decisions that keep returning after the meeting. Be sure to share it with someone who keeps getting pulled back into decisions everyone thought were already made. and be sure to follow along for more. My name is Warren Winowski. Thanks for watching.